morning and welcome to Orchid Hunters Australia. Today we're in the Wet Tropics, a bioregion in tropical North Queensland, just under 2 million hectares in size. It's a biodiversity mega spot. Beautiful things such as this massive fig tree behind me. I have high hopes of seeing some cool stuff out here. So without any further ado, let's get into it. We start our journey with a drop-off in some dry Corymbia woodland. I spot a few cymbidiums on our way to the riverine woodland, where I believe the humidity will work in our favour for more orchids and easier access to them. Some of the other benefits of looking for orchids near a river include ease of navigation, a higher abundance of fauna too. The foliage is often thicker at the water's edge, making it hard to move, and although I've waterproofed the cameras, it's too early to be getting the feet wet already. So I found our first orchid, and it's a cymbidium. Probably one of the more common orchids you'd see in nurseries or in offices, shopping centres and things like that. There's a lot of really glamorous hybrids out there, big flowers and lots of colours. This one I believe is called the buttercup orchid or buttercup cymbidium. It's got a very humble flower. It's not in flower, it's in fruit, this one. But it still looks pretty cool. You get massive clumps of them right up in the treetops, and I'll use this one just to display a point that I'm using to look for orchids out here, and that is that you're not going to have a lot of luck finding orchids on juvenile trees. You want to look for the large old trees. Obviously they've had more time and they support more growth. And I don't have a drone, I don't have any ropes or anything like that, so it's a bit of a tough call coming out here into such a rainforest and looking for epiphytes, and they're growing right up there in the humidity sort of thing. So the technique that I'm looking for is basically any big trees that have fallen down, and that's what we've got here, so I'll just quickly show you. The root mass on this plant is particularly thick and healthy. Some of the roots are designed to attach the plant to its host, and others stick straight out, as you see here, for humidity and act as a litter trap, catching debris for nutrients, assisting in flowering. These large attractive pods are full of thousands of tiny seeds, and you can imagine when they dry and split, releasing the seeds right up in the upper canopy. They can travel for miles in the wind and hopefully land somewhere appropriate. This place being quite inappropriate, the built-up debris behind it indicating it's a flood zone and will eventually wash it away. These large pseudobulbs hold the plant's energy and water store. In times of stress, foliage may die off and these bulbs remain to power next season's shoots. Now this orchid's on the ground, it hasn't got too much hope for the future, and especially if it's fallen into a riparian zone, and there's a lot of flow coming through here sometimes of the year. It's right in the path of where a lot of debris has built up against another tree. This one's too large for me, connected to a massive log, and I don't think I can move it to a more hospitable position, so unfortunately this one is what it is. I've put a little bit of effort into this trip. I've had to figure out the local environment. I lived up here for a little while, but I really don't know anything about the technicalities of it, and there were some great online tools to help me. The Queensland government has a regional ecosystem mapper. You can request maps and it'll tell you the type of vegetation in the area that you're looking to go into. And it also has a system where you can request any records of plants that have been found in certain national parks or state forests, which can obviously be a big advantage when you're looking for certain species. Some of the major differences in vegetation mapping between, I guess, Victoria, which is what I'm used to, and Queensland is that Victoria is probably a little more user-friendly, but Queensland is more technical and gives you more information. The ecological vegetation classes in Victoria, they give you a bit more of an idea what to expect with a short name like maybe coastal Banksia woodland, but up in Queensland the regional ecosystems are sort of done by numbers, which represent features such as landforms, soil types and species that might be on there. Some of the regional ecosystems that we're going to have a look at include montane metamorphic rainforests and also riverine woodlands. Starting to get a bit hot and a bit thick, and some dense vines coming in, and have the epiphany, why make life hard for myself? So the shoes are coming off and we're going creek bashing. A small challenge worth dropping the pack for. Just enough out of reach to feel dangerous and warrant a small climb. Hopefully we can get closer to a few others. This beautiful lizard skull lays on the creek bank, presumably an eastern water dragon, common in these parts. Perhaps it could also be a Boyd's forest dragon. Large eye sockets demonstrate good vision, and the teeth not so intimidating, but they do the job. Or did the job, rather. This is a healthy clump of the common Christmas orchid. It has a wide distribution and likes damp forests or open creek lines. This genus is commonly available and easily grown. There's no need for poaching commonly found evergreen populations. I've found something else on this somewhat scavenger hunt. There's another fallen down tree with some elkhorns or platycerium on it, and I think there's some dacrylia hanging underneath it. But I just want to be careful. I'm standing on a log at the moment because I heard a pig not far away, and I don't want to startle it. I don't know if it's got young or something like that, so I might just wait for the all clear and then I'll jump down and have a look. I don't know if you heard that, but it didn't sound inviting. High-pitched squeal, and there's some grunting before. Thinking it's moved on, I test the water by trying to get its attention, tapping the log, perhaps sounding like fruit hitting the ground, or just a curious noise in general. With no interest from the pig, I jump down and have a look. Dacrylia contains 28 species, with 16 of them in Australia, growing on rocks, on trees, from all the way down in Tasmania, all the way up to the tip of Cape York, varying temperatures and habitats from rainforest to woodlands to covered or exposed. Again, another orchid widely grown and commercially available, so no need to poach what can often be impressive colonies and individuals. A slightly intimidating sign, what appears to be pig tusk marks in a termite mound. Got pushed away by the pigs. One of them came up to about 15-20 metres and they were pretty vocal, so I decided to get out of there, and I've circled back around and sticking to the main course now, except I've seen pretty impressive what I think is a cymbidium, so I'm going to try and push up to where I know the pigs are, but it's only 5 or 10 metres up the slope, so we'll see if I can get away with it. So that's an awesome example of a big cymbidium growing with a platycerium or one of the elkhorns. That's exactly the sort of thing that I'm hoping to find. It's not in flower again, but it's still epic all the same. And again, I'm whispering because I know I'm just on the fringe of these pigs somewhere. I'll try and get a closer shot. This inspires me to start looking for epiphytes. So I can talk a little more comfortably here. it is a shame. Something else that I just wanted to mention is that big cymbidium and that big elkhorn isn't mounted on a very big tree, and it is hanging over again this riparian zone, which gets hammered with water. I reckon it'd probably be at least another 4 meters, 5 meters of water on top of what you can see here in the wet season, with all the debris in the trees and stuff. And yeah, when that cymbidium and the elkhorn come down, they're going to get washed away, and that'll be the end of it, which is definitely an unfortunate thing. There are many beautiful trees here in the wet tropics, and the strangler fig perhaps the most visually impressive canopy species. The seed starts its life in a treetop, dropped by a bird or a possum, and the roots then strangle the host, causing it to rot, as we see here. After 50 meters of growth, the roots may touch the ground, and things rapidly get interesting as it changes from an epiphyte to a terrestrial. This strangler fig now has no host present. This massive tree is the result of hundreds of years. Examples exist that are believed to be up to 800 years old. Let's have a look at a couple primitive plants. When I say ferns, you may think, yeah, that's old, but these guys are old, even for ferns. This tape fern has long, stiff, tape-like fronds, very different to anything else, as is the skeleton fork fern. Both grow worldwide and are believed to be descendants of the first vascular plants almost 450 million years ago. This guy was teasing us before, just out of reach up the tree. Looking closer now, we can see characteristic square pseudobulbs. Perhaps this can guide us to its name. Maybe I'll throw it out there, Dendrobium sclerosum. It is growing on paperbark again, so hopefully we're coming into that sort of territory. After a little research, I find it was a dendrobium, but now tetrabaculum, and tetragonum identifying the species and the square pseudobulbs. These melaleucas are prime growing medium for them. You'll often see them in orchid shows too. The Department of Agriculture and Fisheries states that feral pigs are one of the most widespread and common pests in Queensland. Landowners are responsible for eliminating them on their land according to Queensland legislation. It's estimated that 24 million feral pigs inhabit Australia, creating serious negative impacts such as spreading weeds, degrading water and vegetation quality, and they even have serious impacts on marine turtles by eating eggs. The pigs I bump into appear to be the guardians of epiphytes. I only get a couple of snapshots of some before being pushed along. We now start to transition from the twisted melaleuca-dominated riverine woodland into thick rainforest communities. Pockets have been seen over the past few kilometres, but it dominates now into the upper sections of the waterways, sneaking through the rocky metamorphic ranges.
Is it the ancient tree, ancient water stream? Tradition's a strong, hold on and live long. The love for the jungle ignites in a song. Still a rosebud kid on the journey all along. Raised to appreciate plants, Coranda where I'm from. I'm doing it free, I'm here rolling peacefully. It's the history that influences uniquely. Creative on the weekly, for years I see. Natural beauty amazes me, pulls me in spiritually. It's my key to happiness and living healthy. I focus on the energy and listen to what it tells me. Tales of the souls in this world of plants. Traveling stories from across all the lands. As poison expands, I must respect the clans. Original custodians, harmonious woman and man. Maintaining management from forest to sand. Not a speck.
Only 2% of sunlight reaches the forest floor. This means it's a rare and precious resource. Pockets of it along the waterway promote a trance-like state for everyone to enjoy. So I'm walking along in admiration of this beautiful little waterhole behind me and the reflections up on the bank, and I get caught off guard by a beautiful scrub python taking advantage of this lovely sunlight as well. So I'll see how close I can get to him. I don't want to startle him. It's such a peaceful morning, and I'll just see if I can get some shots and we'll leave him be. This one's in great condition. I don't want to disturb him too much. I'm keeping an eye on him. He might have just shed recently. He's got beautiful coloration. He's probably about maybe 2 meters, just over 2 meters long. I think unfortunately that this beautiful scrubby hasn't got the full capabilities of its body. These snakes have amazing muscle control. They can stretch right out. They can go up. I've seen them climb up chains without having to go around them and things. And one of the benefits of the Moralia genus is that it can use the last few inches of its tail like a finger. It can wrap around things. Unfortunately, this guy looks like he's lost that last little bit, but I'm sure he doesn't have too much trouble getting around out here in all these vines anyway. In case you didn't know what an epiphyte is, it's a plant that grows off another one. It's not a parasite. It doesn't hurt the host, it simply uses it for support. There is a massive abundance of epiphytes in rainforests. Being an epiphyte means you can attain resources like rare sunlight and get preferred humidity conditions. Vines are also abundant, so much so that you may not be able to move through an area, or they may even help you. Be it an emergent tree, a vine, or a snake, it's all about getting sunlight out here. I've strayed off the river that we were looking at before, the Clohesi River, and gone up one of its tribs to find hopefully a more damper gully without so much air movement. And I've come across a couple of decent trees that have fallen down and exposed a few epiphytes, and there is that square dendrobium that we saw previously, and it's got a bit of a tease going on. It's got 2 buds on it. It's probably about 30 meters away from me still anyway, but yeah, maybe in the next few days would have been promising, but anyway, it's nice nonetheless. We could find the right tree around here that's got the right combination of having fallen down and with an orchid being in flower. That's what I'm hoping for, so we'll keep looking. As far away from civilization as I feel, there is something familiar about this area. These small trees of a similar age suggest a recruitment period not long ago. I theorise logging may have taken place here, and later I find I am correct with large stumps present. Even out in these far out places, you're never too far away from the reaches of past civilization. Well, I'm proud to present our second epic orchid. I was starting to doubt seeing anything in through here. There's a lot of big tree stumps that have been cut. This area's obviously had some logging in the past, but nonetheless I've found a beauty, and I think it's Dendrobium speciosum. It's a big specimen, 2 of them mounted on the side of, I'm not sure of what the tree is, but let's have a closer look. The number of leaves, pseudobulb size and location lead me to believe that this is the common oak orchid. Flowers are similar to the Sydney rock orchid pictured below. I'm well impressed with this specimen, this big and relatively close to head height. I'll have to come back and check him in flowering time. So this orchid's doing pretty well. It's found a favourable position. It's not in a fork, it's not in a position where any debris is collecting. It's just on a low straight of the tree. The bark is favourable. Conditions in general must be favourable for it. There's 20 plus healthy pseudobulbs, and I counted maybe 6 odd flower stalks from perhaps last year. So there's definitely no issues with this guy being happy. Epiphytes are typically prone to poaching, and that is something that I've mentioned previously. And aside from that, life as an epiphyte is difficult anyway. When you think about animals and the benefit they have over plants, the ability to move around and acquire resources, epiphytes growing out on limbs and things like that are even in a harder position. So I guess you could say when it comes to survival, epiphytes are out on a limb. Now if it's looking like I'm pretty relaxed, it's because I am. I'm sitting on Cape Trip Beach, just watching the sunrise, the waves going. There's some beautiful mangroves behind us and coastal vegetation dominated by casuarinas and pandanus and a few other bits and pieces that I'm not familiar with. I want to check out, that's the sort of vegetation I'd like to have a look through in the early hours of the morning. Have a look for a few different types of orchids and anything else that might be in there, and of course try to avoid the crocodiles. Not sure what today we'll have planned. There's a bit of travel involved as well, so I'm just going to sit here on the beach, wait for the sun to come up a bit more, and then I'll go have a look and see what I can find. It's a surreal feeling looking for orchids in the dark, in mangroves. I'm not the only one out here. Dun dun dun! The elusive peppermint stick insect with intense metallic coloration. They feed only on a specific pandanus, so its distribution is quite limited, but widespread. They defend themselves by squirting a sticky chemical that, you guessed it, smells like peppermint. It's accompanied by, let's say, a less friendly looking insect relative. In walking through this coastal rainforest, there's quite a few large colonies of what I think might be a bulbophyllum species, but it is a little bit scary that none of it is growing anywhere near head height, which may be an indicator of how much poaching has been going on in this area. Bulbophyllum boasts over 1,000 species, 32 of them found in Australia. I think my job may have been made easy identifying this one, as there is only one, Caparomorchus, which is defined by rhizomes covered in papery hairs. Widespread and common, often in epic colonies, a great species easy for cultivation, commercially available. If you've ever heard of the term, where reef meets the rainforest, it's no joke. I won't be jumping into the water to show you the reef, but look at this amazing rainforest, in the sand. The characteristic fan palm, massive leaves with a diameter up to 2 metres and standing up to 15 metres tall. Threatened by land clearing, this is an icon of the Wet Tropics. Now we find ourselves coming to the end of the Wet Tropics tour. You can see how it's such an inspiring place. Many dedicated volunteers, workers and enthusiasts are drawn here from all over the world. If you want to pitch in, there are many conservation groups that would welcome your efforts. Stay tuned. Next episode, we explore the Inesley Uplands and the Cape York bioregions. Thanks for watching.
The rainforest dragon, yes, just chillin' with them. Straight out the ridge, I'm here to raise the ceiling. Used to thrive to make it out, escape a small town feeling. Hungry to experience the life they call the reelin'. A wise move made, essential progression. Life-changing steps in shape with many lessons. Rat race stressing was never part of my perception. Fill shoes with experience, understand the direction. Not deceiving, but not what seems to be. Eye-opening cultural variety, scene of the city. It's definitely inspiring, but isn't all me. I can't feel all free like we do, jungle family. Going out for a jam we be, or maybe the creek.